What's up, everybody? This is Jason, collector of zombies, aka Zombie Collector, and I thought I'd do a little deep Blu-ray pickup video, kind of just talk a little bit about film, my true passion, true love, true love. But yeah, I thought I'd do some just quickly, just talk about some Blu-rays. I picked the most inopportune time to go live. Again, I don't expect anybody to really pop on. Just wanted to get some of this stuff out of the way. I'm still debating on if I'm going to keep really pushing out videos. The jury's out, so to speak, on that. So we'll see. We will see. But I want to kind of go over. I picked all these up at a pawn shop down in Clarksville, Indiana, where I'm from. And I got them all for $2 a piece, I believe. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do you appreciate? So like $12, I believe. It's not too shabby. Nothing is going to blow your panties off, but a couple cool things, at least cool things to me. And there's no real rhyme or reason here. I'm just going to kind of go through them. And then, like I said, show them off. The first one is my son's a big Harry Potter fan. He's been reading through the books over the years. And I don't know much about it. I never really watched it. I was never a Harry Potter fanatic, I guess. But I know that apparently this is a prequel to those Harry Potter films. And so I picked this one up. I think this is the first one. Fantastic Beasts. This is still sealed, never been opened. So I thought my son might like it. And again, for a couple of schmeckles, give it a shot, see how it turns out. If he likes it, great. Keep it in the collection. If he's like, this is garbage, then I'll get rid of it. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool to get it. I mean, like, it's magic, it's wizards. I mean, it's no Tim the Wizard or wizard named Tim from the Holy Grail, but we'll give it a shot. So you have that. Next up is I think this is a 3-disc set. Yeah, 3-disc set of The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey. So on Blu-ray, all these will be blue. Seen this already one time before. I don't know. I felt like the Hobbit movies was not as interesting as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think I have watched all 3 films. I think there's 3 films of this as well. I think it's this one, and then they did like a part 2. They did another film that split in 2, if I'm not mistaken. But it wasn't a huge. I feel like it was okay. I think this is the one where they're dealing with the dragon, Smog. I think, right? So, anyways, a lot of some of the characters show up. Obviously, you have Bilbo, who is played by, who's he played by? Martin Freeman. Sorry. You got Ed McKellen as Gandalf. Sorry, it's just I'm just kind of going through this. There's a couple other names in here. Ian Holmes in here, Christopher Lee, Hugo Weaving, Elijah Wood, Andy Serkis. So a lot of the main cast actors from the first couple of films show up in here in some capacity. I remember seeing this. I remember seeing Elijah Wood. I think he's in the beginning of the movie. I watched it for a few minutes a couple days ago just to kind of refresh my memory. And he shows up, and they kind of like kind of like bookend the first movie with this one, I guess, because they needed to have that to make people understand, like, oh, this is Bilbo's journey. We're going backwards in time. So anyway, even though the whole Lord of the Rings is a premise off of Bilbo doing the things that he got himself into, trouble he got himself into to even get the ring. But anyway, I guess that was for the audience because people aren't smart enough to figure it out. Anywho, so there it is, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is with like 13 dwarves, as looked on the back, and they journey with Bilbo and Gandalf to try to, I believe, get gold. I believe, like the Smog takes all the gold of the dwarves, and the dwarves kept digging into the ground and like got all the gold they could, and Smog found out and came and took all their gold. So I think it has something to do with that. Then we have Gone in 60 Seconds, a Nicolas Cage joint. Just a single disc edition with Angelina Jolie. You know, she's so young in this that they don't even bill her. Like nowadays, it'd be her name at the top of the movie. But this was before her really taking off in Hollywood. She was still John Voight's daughter, let's just say. I really love the movie Hackers. I need to do a movie review of Hackers because I love that movie. But we got Gone in 60 Seconds. This has a ton of people in this movie. Let's go through it. You got Giovanni Ribisi, Delroy Lindo, Will Patton, Christopher Eccleston, Shay McBride, Robert Duvall. There's a bunch of people in this. So, and then there's I know they left off a couple people that's also in here at they're still young, starting out. But this is a good movie. I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm not really a car guy. Does my car get me from point A to point B? Yes. Okay, I want that car. But I can enjoy a good chase film, good film where there's cars, and it's kind of this. I believe this was before the Fast and the Furious movies, but it has that vibe. The Fast and Furious stole from it, so you have that kind of vibe in this. Again, get it for a couple dollars, Blu-ray. I'll do it. I'll be your Huckleberry. Next up is a 2-disc set. It's a DVD, Blu-ray, along with a what do you call that? Oh, the online. I don't know, the digital code. There you go. Creed 2. I believe I have Creed 1, but this is Creed 2. We got Michael B. Jordan right here with Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, was it Felicia Rashad's in here, Dolph Lundgren. I liked this okay. It wasn't great. I think they're going in another direction now. They kind of had these holdovers from Rocky. The first movie was about Adonis Creed finding out that he's Apollo's son, and or maybe he already knew that, but the world was finding out about him being Apollo's son, and kind of living in that shadow and bringing the past to the future with Stallone. And I thought the first movie was actually really good. I mean, it felt like it was a good mix of past with present. And then this one was a little bit of a, I don't know, I want to say a step backwards, but they brought back Brigitte Nielsen, and there was the whole Ivan Drago story, and it was good. I enjoyed it, but it pretty much was part 4 all over again, but with Creed being the underdog and trying to defeat the guy whose dad killed his dad, and the whole Russian or Ukraine. I think there's technically Ukrainian in this or whatever, and the whole family thing, the dynamic of him embarrassing Russia. Dolph Lundgren was, and his family kind of being on the outskirts, and then his wife left him, the Brigitte Nielsen character, and they kind of just was shunned, and they were kind of living second-class citizens because of the embarrassment they brought upon the Russian Federation or whatnot back in the day. So, it was good. I liked it. I don't know. There wasn't. I don't know. I don't know what I can say, how I can put it. What was the? I feel like it missed the mark in some areas. I don't know. They're going in a totally different direction moving forward. They're going to have Stallone's completely out of it. I don't know if that was a decision made by Stallone, if that was a decision made by the director or whatnot. I kind of feel like a little bit of a, I don't know the whole story. Obviously, I wasn't in on those meetings. Kind of felt like a little bit of a slap in the face if Stallone was wanting to still be a part of it, considering there would be no Creed if there wasn't for Stallone, quite frankly. Definitely there would be no Creed, revamped Creed and Creed 2 with Michael B. Jordan. I feel like it kind of was we got this guy's name recognition. We got the Creed out there. We got the franchise kind of started with on the shoulders of Stallone. Now we're going to kick this dude to the curb and do a completely different, direction. And maybe it's going to be awesome. And maybe it is. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go and how they're going to go about it. They did, like I said, for the most part, they did a nice dance between the past, the present, and looking into the future. So we'll see what it looks like. I'm cautiously optimistic because, like I said, I thought the second one was fine, and I just felt like You know, when you go back to the well too many times, what is that? Eventually, you run into the law of diminishing returns. So we'll see. Maybe a fresh story that has really nothing to do with Stallone, and the past might be good. I would hope so. Unless they can't blame it on Stallone if it doesn't do well, or if it doesn't do well, then they realize that they try to go a totally different direction, and Stallone was the reason why the movie did well. People came to see Stallone, not necessarily Michael B. Jordan, the Creed story. The next one up is, I got it for just one reason only, is a double disc Blu-ray feature of Where the Wild Things Are, but I got it for the Never Ending Story. Now, I could do a 1 hour commentary or conversation about the Never Ending Story. It's the movie that's probably the most prominent in my mind as a child. I love the Never Ending Story. I have no idea if this transfer is any good. It could be complete garbage transfer. But I got this because I'd never seen the Never Ending Story on Blu-ray before. I don't know if this is rare, quasi-rare, out of print. If this is just, you can go find this on eBay right now for $2. I have no idea. But I wanted to definitely check it out because, of course, I love this movie without a doubt. Never Ending Story is that, and Benji the Hunted were my two jams when I was a kid. I mean, as far as like, fantasy type, kid type movies early on. I think this movie came out in 84, if I'm not mistaken, around 84. And I would have been like 7 years old or something when it first came out. I was born in 78. So I was like 6 or 7 years old probably. Man, I still to this day love this movie with every fiber of my being. Like, it is so good. I mean, of course, it's so silly and over the top, but I love it. It was the first time I remember crying in a movie when Artex, I mean, a lot of the stuff everybody knows, everybody who watched this movie when Artex, dies in the Swamp of Sorrows or whatever. I mean, I was like literally beside myself and like, I didn't even know those were emotions I had. I was so just completely wrapped up in the story that the Never Ending Story, told. I just was very, very taken aback by the whole thing. It was an amazing story, especially for fantasy for kids. It was so good, and I Wolfgang Peterson did the film. What's the kid's name in here? I always Noah Hathaway. I mean, I think he showed up in some other stuff later on. Nothing huge, and he ended up being in a movie like 5, 6, 7 years ago called Sushi Girl. Totally looks 100% different than he did in this. I mean, of course, he's an adult, and I think him and I probably about the exact same age, if I'm not mistaken. He might be a few years older than me, but not by much. But anyways, I'm trying to look and see here if there's anybody else. No other real names are in this that are recognizable to me. Moses Gunn, I believe, is somewhat sounds right. I think he's a black guy that's like kind of like the senator or some like politician or chamber leader of the chamber of the other characters that who's trying to like advocate for the princess. So anyways, I love it. I mean, I can talk about this movie all the time, and maybe I will eventually get around to doing a film review from my perspective of the Never Ending Story. But if for some reason you've made it this long in life and you're around my age and you've not seen this movie, or even if you're younger, I would highly recommend the movie. It has everything. It has love story. It has action. It has horror elements to it. It has fantasy. It has things of like reading and bullying and coming out the other side of it stronger and better. It's really good. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in this movie, and I love this movie so much. So yeah, Never Ending Story. And then lastly is I don't know if this is a unrated or whatnot. I don't think it is. I think this is it says it's unrated. So there you go. And I think I have this variation on something else. I don't know if it's a DVD I have or what, but it's Robocop on Blu-ray. I mean, there's not much I can say about Robocop that has not already been said. Kind of the same that goes for the Never Ending Story. It's already been out there. Tons. There's no real special features on this. It's just the Blu-ray. But yeah, I love it. I love them. I love this so much. You have, yeah, dude. What's up, man? Love RoboCop, man. That's what. Hey, I was gonna tell you. Mike told me about you today. I watched his video. He didn't tell me your real name, or he did, or and whatever. But I went to your very first video, started watching a little bit of it. I'm gonna go back and watch your channel religiously because you're right up in the same alley I am. Uh, but yeah, man, film media man. I like the intro music. I like the vibe you have going on there. I saw you hold up a huge stack of, I think you said Kino Lorber DVD or Blu-rays or DVDs you had. That was like the most recent video. So I really like that a lot, dude. So that was cool, dude. I'm definitely looking forward to checking out your video. I love watching similar guys, and I guess gals to a lesser degree in this community show off their collections, talk about physical media. So man, I really hey, all right, Joe, I'm Jason. Nice to meet you. Virtually meeting you. I'm shaking your hand there virtually. So, but yeah, man, I really enjoy. I gravitate towards guys that have obviously a passion for film, but a passion for physical media, especially when it comes to film. I like film more than I do. Like, I'm not trying to track down every like book or comic book or record or CD, even though I still do that as well. But it's definitely movie related. So yeah, RoboCop is so good. The unrated version is I never knew it existed until years later. The whole time we were watching on HBO or Skinamax or whatever back in the 80s and 90s, it was a rated version. It was an R-rated version. I didn't know an unrated version existed, and it wasn't overtly crazy. But I mean, the parts where RoboCop or Peter Weller's character as the police officer is getting like eviscerated by the gang of the gang banging terrible guys. It was a lot more gruesome and bloodied and it was terrible. So that they put all that back in, which was missing. Probably I didn't need to see that when I was like 12 years old or 10 years old or whatever it was when this movie came out. So it probably was fine. But it is definitely interesting to watch now to see how the original cut would have been, I guess, or the cut that the director, which is Paul Verhoeven, would how he wanted it. Oh, that's cool, dude. That's cool. You've been to some of the locations in Dallas, man. That is awesome. Now it takes place in Detroit, right? So they filmed it. In I guess Dallas, as you're saying, but they takes place in Detroit. So that's interesting to say the least. Very interesting, if I do say so. But I really like this movie. You know something, guys. Now the few of us are in here watching. Now I don't know if you all know this, but I was kind of caught off guard. But Nancy Allen, who plays what's her name in the movie? I can't remember her exact name in the movie, but Murphy. No, that's not. That's his name, Murphy. I can't remember her name, but anyways, his partner, Nancy Allen was. I watched a movie recently that was done by. Oh shoot! It was a Brian De Palma film, I think. She plays, and there's like, who was in it? It's a very strange film, and I found it in the wild, and I had heard about it before, but it's a kind of like a noir type film, and it has. Oh my gosh, I'm like drawing a blank on everybody's name. I think it's Brian De Palma movie. It's like a black glove. It's kind of like a giallo kind of feel. You don't really know this. The British actor, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. He's pretending and it's not Blowout. He's pretending that he's dressed as a woman and he's like a psychiatrist and he is going around killing people, but his like, the person who goes to see him, what up, Mike? Who go to see him is actually the girl from Policewoman, I think, right? From back in the 70s. Oh my gosh, I'm like drawing a blank on all these guys, all these people's names. But it was Dressed to Kill. Yes, thank you, Mike. Oh, I was like, my mind was like, as usual, dipping out on me. Okay, Henry, I used to have a Robocop toy that had blinky red line. That's cool, dude. Toys from the 80s, man. Where it's at, 90s toys, man. That was the good stuff, Henry. But yeah, Dressed to Kill. Nancy Allen's in that movie, and I had never seen that movie, and if I did, it was definitely a long time ago. I barely remember it. So I picked it up recently in a DVD pawn shop, a pawn shop that had a bunch of DVDs, and I was like, oh, Dressed to Kill, that's pretty hard to find or rare. I've never seen that one out in the wild. So I picked it up and I was watching it, and I was like, man, this movie is so good. It's so just kind of subversive. It's kind of weird. It's not Raquel Welch. I forgot the actress's name who played the main character, who ends up, I don't want to, I mean, I guess it's been out for 40 years, who ends up getting killed about midway through the movie, but it's not Nancy Allen's character. It's the woman who played Policewoman. I can't remember her name all of a sudden. Oh my gosh. But she was a little bit older at the time, and he picked her on purpose because she was a little bit older. Oh man, I can't remember her name. But anyways, Nancy Allen's was in that movie, and I had not seen her in a movie. I've really only seen her in RoboCop. And Nancy Allen plays, like, I think, a prostitute in the movie. Angie Dickinson. That's it, dude. Thank you, Mike. That's it, Angie Dickinson. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, it's Angie Dickinson. She's a good-looking woman. Even at, I'm assuming she was 40-something years old at the time. A very good-looking woman. And I got Angie Dickinson's autograph too, actually, Henry. But Nancy Allen's in that movie, and she plays like the young, like, kind of prostitute who's trying to lure or get the killer to, like, reveal himself. It was great. She did a great job in that movie. Like, it's a very little known, I think, part by her. But I was completely caught off guard because she looked quite different than she normally had done in the past. Like in this movie, she's walking around in, police garb the entire movie. She looks kind of, bulky with all the police gear on. And then, she's dressed up in, like, the unmentionables, and Dressed to Kill. And it was definitely a different look for her. But anyways, she was really good in that. So, but RoboCop, great movie. There's nothing really to add that hasn't been said before. Ronnie Cox is in this. It's absolutely amazing. It's kind of funny because if you go back and think about Ronnie Cox in this movie as RoboCop, as, like, I forgot, the commissioner or whatever, the leader or the head of the business of creating these creating RoboCop or whatever, and he also shows up as, like, the head of, like, some sort of organization in Total Recall as a complete piece of garbage as well. Yes, she was dating or married to Brian De Palma at the time. You're exactly right. And they talk about that in the documentary about that. They talk about her being married or dating him. So, hey, what up, Golf? And about how that kind of came about. So you're exactly right, Mike. So anyways, so what I was saying was that Ronnie Cox in that movie, and that show is so good. But, it's funny because he plays such a great police chief in Los Angeles or Beverly Hills in Beverly Hills Cop. And, he played that role, I think, in all 3 movies or whatnot. And he was so it shows how much of a scumbag POS he can play as, like, the CEO or some kind of, like, higher up in some kind of, organization to like a real, like, salt of the earth, police chief or whatever. It was a very good acting, I think. A lot of people don't really think about Ronnie Cox in that capacity, but man, he is great in both those type of roles. So I really like that a lot. And Kurtwood Smith, Red Foreman from that 70s show. Yeah, Kurtwood Smith. That's the first time I was ever introduced to him. He plays obviously like the lead or the head of the gang or whatever, and he's a real piece of work as well. Michael Farrar or Farrar or Miguel, I should say Miguel Farrar, I think. I'm sure I mispronounced it. He's in here. He also plays I like him a lot. He shows up in lots of 80s films, without a doubt. So, anyways, but yeah, man, I just want to show this off. And then, since I got a couple people in here, I want to ask you all your thoughts, because I really want to know what your all thoughts. What are people's thoughts about the Creed movies and then Creed 3 coming out, I guess, they're taking Stallone out of the equation. It's going to be mostly this, I guess, Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson kind of story. Like, what are your all's thoughts about about Creed movies. I know when I was first talking about the Creed, there's nobody was really in here. I think maybe one person was kind of popping in and out. But I want to know what people thought about Creed. No, I'm not watching the Henry. No, I'm not watching the All-Star game tonight. If my son wants to watch it, I maybe watch a little bit for me. But yeah, Rocky stopped at 4 for me. Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. Golf, I would say, without a doubt. And that's how I feel too. I'm like, listen, if you're going to continue to kind of ride the coattails of the Stallone franchise of being Rocky, and then he created this, Creed, and then you're taking him out of the equation, it could be okay, I guess. I mean, we won't know until we see it. I don't want to completely take a shot on it quite yet, but I'm not overtly confident that it's going to end up being any good. Because I thought that, like I was mentioning initially, the second one I thought was, this one was okay. I think there's obviously a lot of fan service they're doing when they do like these kind of movies. I wasn't overtly impressed with the film. I thought it was, like I said, it was okay. It definitely was better than 5, I thought. But yeah, I wasn't overtly a huge fan of part 2, but I did like it. I feel like it was a serviceable entry. Let's see here. Can you take me higher? Oh yeah, that's Creed. That was funny. Creed and Nipple Butt are the worst 2 bands. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I'm a big fan of Creed movies. Doesn't feel right. They're making one without Sly, though. Yeah, I agree with you, dude. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if it's like when I use the word political, I don't mean that the way the world looks at it. Like, was it a political decision, like from the studio? Like, hey, we got the Stallone cred already in here, not to be confused with Creed. On this franchise now, we got him, associated with it. We're gonna now that we kind of brought the old school fans in with the new school fans, we can kind of, phase him out. Was that a decision made by Stallone? He just was like, kind of like, there's nowhere else to go with the character. I mean, I kind of feel like if you think about it, there really would be nowhere else to go. I mean, the whole Ivan Drago thing was kind of like, I guess you can say, like, they closed the book on that because, I mean, essentially that was the end of the story, I guess you can say. I mean, because you really don't want to go back and revisit 5 and 6 was okay, but I don't know what else can you do there. So, I think you can still have him, and even if he was like this in a glorified cameo role, it'd be cool to have him around still. But it'll be, I mean, like I said, I don't want to take a shot on it quite yet because it could come out and just be awesome. But I do feel like having Stallone on there was kind of like the soul of the movie. It kind of was like the anchor that kept the movie kind of, a part of the whole series, the entire experience. Removing him from the equation, I feel like could be kind of dangerous, but until you see, you don't know. You think you're gonna take a pass? I agree with you. Isn't Richard Byrne in Creed 2? I don't know who Richard Citybush is. I'm sure I mispronounced that or whatnot. I think it was more Stallone's decision, but I could be wrong. Yeah, and that might be the case. And I completely agree. Yo, I'm Burt Lancaster's age. Yeah, no kidding. Stallone is, how old is he now? 72, 74? I know that him and Schwarzenegger, I think, are about the exact same age. So they're both in their 70s at this point. I mean, they look great, obviously. I mean, they look fantastic. But yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it. I want it to do well because I think it just brings more eyeballs to the Stallone Rocky franchise as well. I mean, I think those movies hold up. I mean, because if you think about it, I don't know if some of y'all have kids or not, or younger kids, but my son is 12. He'll be 13 this year. And I introduced him to the Stallone movies, the Rocky movies, and he loves them. He's like, that this is great. And if you think about it, there's not a lot of action in the couple first, in the at least in the first one. It's a lot of training montages. There's probably a little bit of fighting in some of them just to kind of establish. I don't remember exactly, but not till the end is there really straight up just, knock down, drag out fighting in the boxing ring. In part 2, I think similar things happen, I think part 3 has some action in the because he fights Thunderlips, then he fights Clubber Lang once and gets whooped, and then he fights him again at the end. So there's a lot more action in 3 and 4. Obviously, Apollo and them fight at the beginning, and then it's like a legit, like 45 minutes of training montages and working out in Russia to get to the fight at the end. So there's a lot going on in the last 2. But the first 2, there's not a whole lot going on, and my son really was a huge fan. So I feel like, those movies still hold up in 2021. And they came out, I think the first one came out, 76, 77, I think. So there you have that. So yeah, I think that, you can introduce young people to the original series, and it could be through Creed. Now, I know that Creed's going to have a lot more modern day sensibilities to it, but I do think that you can, if kids are willing to put away their iPads and iPhones or whatever for 2 hours, it could, you would see some benefit there. Yeah, exactly. It was wrong. I mean, that's another reason why I let my son watch it, because there wasn't a whole lot of inappropriateness in the Rocky film. Actually, none of them, I don't think. I mean, you can always say like sports like violence or whatever, but nothing crazy. Yeah, the beach montage, training montage in 3, better than the mountain training montage in 4. Close call. That's true. I have such a soft spot for part 4, because that was the one I watched when I was probably like around my son's age. I was probably like 12-ish, I would say. Not for sure what year it came out, but I would assume it came out in like 89, 90, something like that. Maybe if it was earlier than that, I'm going to be surprised. But I would assume it came out, and that would have put me at about 12 or 13 years old, give or take, I would assume. And so, I mean, it came out like the right time. And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, dude, this is like, we're beating the Russians, yes. And it's kind of like Return of the Jedi has the highest nostalgia for me. Now, is it the best movie? The best out of the 3? No, The Empire Strikes Back, I think, still the best. But Return of the Jedi is my favorite. So there's a difference between the best and my favorite. And I've always liked The New Hope as well, but it still doesn't hold a candle to Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, there's always those things that, nostalgia sometimes weighs out or outweighs of the better film. Now, I don't know. I think part 4 in the Rocky series is probably the best film, followed by 3, then 2, then 1. So for me, it's backwards. Kind of like what I think golf or someone said, it stopped after 4. Like, he did 5 and then he did 6, like, 20 years later. And I thought 6 was actually pretty good compared to 5. It was definitely a jump up, but it still didn't hold water to the original 4, in my opinion. So I know they don't call it 6; they call it Rocky Balboa, but we all know that's in the know. We know. So there you go. I was trying to build a top 40 anniversary Rocky set, or just by yeah, that'd be cool, man. It'd be cool to get some of those Rocky movie cards from back in the day. But yeah. But anyways, guys, I'll go ahead and jump off of here. I've already been on for almost about 40 minutes. I just want to show off some of the Blu-rays that I picked up. So here you go. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm definitely coming back again for another video. And until next time, peace.